The 2010s and 2020s, marked by an era of people streaming gameplay on sites like Twitch and YouTube, had the unfortunate side effect of some brave souls deciding to see how long it would take to reach level 99 in the starting area of many common JRPGs and action RPGs like Final Fantasy or Kingdom Hearts. While it's physically possible to complete this in Yugioh the Falsebound Kingdom, I strongly do not recommend doing so. Let's start from the top. You can only save the game in between missions, meaning you have to force fail this mission in order to save. There are 3 ways to force fail. The first is that the enemies take over your main base, which cannot possibly happen in this mission because they're never going to come here. The second is that your main character, Yugi or Kaiba, lose all of their monsters in combat. And the third is that the time limit in the top right there expires. Mind you that the time limit in this mission is a full hour outside of combat. Okay, so you can only save the game every hour plus, but how long does it actually take to reach the max level without factoring that in? It might not seem that bad. For example, Cloud in Final Fantasy VII takes over 2.4 million EXP for his max level. Sora in Kingdom Hearts 1 takes between about 880,000 to 985,000, depending on your choices on Destiny Islands, but every monster in Falsebound Kingdom only takes about 65,535. That's pathetic. That's a joke. Wrong, sir, because this game was programmed by immortal elves who believe that people should have to wait around for a while before they get to fight again. What do I mean? Let's look at a fight here for an example. In Yugi or Kaiba's story, it takes the enemies a full 5 minutes to respawn after combat, and another 40 seconds in Kaiba's story or 55 seconds in Yugi's story to reach the village for combat. You can wait right in front of the base for the enemy to respawn, and you'll need to do this if you want to speed this process up. This is my 3rd run of this level, and I still can't even consistently 2-shot these enemies. By the way, it doesn't really make sense that they take the exact same amount of time to respawn anyway, because the enemies here in Yugi's story have notably less HP than the ones in Kaiba's story, and the whole point of this is supposed to be that they turn back to life with half their maximum HP. So why exactly do they take the exact same amount of time to respawn? It just doesn't really make sense to me. Beating the enemy will only get you a paltry amount of EXP. You're going to be lucky if you can consistently get between 45 to 70 from a fight in Yugi's story, maybe a little bit more in Kaiba's story, but it's usually on the lower end. Keep in mind that the EXP isn't necessarily from destroying the monster, but how many hits you connect and whether or not you got criticals. That's why Zombie Warrior here is leagues above these other two. Mind you that at early levels this might mean that Yugi's story is faster, but once you get strong enough to consistently one-shot them, tens of hours later, Kaiba might get you to this goal faster. I'm going to be honest, I can't say for certain with the casual testing that I did. Oh, and since this is the first mission of the game, that means every time you load back in here, you can't use equipment or buy any because the game didn't tell you you can buy any yet, and you have to mash through the tutorial dialogue once again. If a person had a reliable way to speed this game up, or at least skip the dumb, long attack animations that this game is often ridiculed for, this wouldn't be as much of a problem, and you could potentially handle this whole challenge, or this whole game, in just a few hours. There is actually speculation that this game and some of the other gimmick games could appear in the upcoming Yu-Gi-Oh! Early Days collection. Now, the odds of this game getting a high-quality re-release are about on par with a Red Eyes deck winning a YCS. I have also buried a pretty important lead here. You have 3 teams of 3 monsters, and 1 recruitable monster that you can get at the beginning of each mission. Silver Fang in Yugi's story, or Baphomet in Kaiba's story. So if you were trying to max out everybody, you have to do this basically 4 cycles in order to get everybody, since you can only have 3 teams of 3. Okay, assume that you don't want to waste all of your time with that. You just want to get 3 individual monsters up to level 99. How long will that take you? In Yugi's story, assuming that the dialogue and fights average about 1 minute in each of your attempts, at an average of 50 EXP per fight, you would have to run roughly 1,310 fights, with an average 6-minute gap between fights. That's more than 7,800 minutes, or 131 hours, aka 5.5 days. I guess in that case it's really not as bad as Final Fantasy VII or Kingdom Hearts 1, just way more boring. But to be honest, the boring aspect might be the best thing about it. Think about it. In Final Fantasy VII, you constantly have to move your character around to get the monsters to spawn. In Kingdom Hearts, you have to actually time your attack to get the tech points and everything. Here, just go about your normal business, check the game every 6 minutes, and then just mash through the attacks. Easy W. Still a huge waste of time though, and I'm not doing it, thank you very much.